group maybe. Hi,
Oh, yeah.
everyone. Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. I'm here with Chelsea Frederick. I'm the comeback
Hello.
queen. We're going to take just a few seconds to make sure that everything is going live as it should, is rolling, that we share to our groups and make us as visible as possible.
Yes, I'm just finding everything here. So I'll find it on your main page first, right? That's the
Right.
best
I
place.
tagged you.
There we are.
And to everyone watching, please post comments. I believe we'll be able to see them. So maybe we'll be able to interact in real time as well.
Wonderful. Okay, I just got my group. I'm just typing it in. It'll just be a quick moment.
So this is an episode of Soul Speak. And this is actually the second episode ever. So you're really taking part in the infancy of this platform that I'm growing. It'll also be released as a podcast. So all the links to access what we talk about here will be shared, and you can share them to your community as well. So I think we'll really be able to channel some beautiful energy. I so much enjoyed our last conversation that we had a few months ago. The way that we know each other, we've gotten to know each other through this incredible book that we participated in, the Jaguar Medicine, which I don't know about you, but for me, it was really, it has helped me ascend to new levels personally and professionally. You know, I in writing the chapter, I discovered new things about myself, and I tapped into new avenues of expression, and it aligned me. You know, it helped me find so many women who are aligned, that are in similar areas but different. Everybody has their own. I don't like the word niche, but I guess their own special area of that resonates for them. How did you find the experience working with the Jaguar Medicine book?
It was so two parts to it. I mean, one, like you said, the community building. I mean, there's 29 or 30 women that all of a sudden you're so connected to, and we're going through this very rapid level transformation in our own visibility and our own self-expression, and all of the kind of side projects that came off of that, the interview series that we both did, and it's just continued on. And how beautiful. There's a couple of women that are here local in the city that I live in here in Calgary.
That's
and
incredible.
I had dinner with some of them last night, and it was just like, I mean, some I knew from before, but there were a couple of new faces that I'd only met in cyber world, and to actually see them in person. I know you and I are in different cities, but I'd love to meet you in person one day too, because
One day, yeah.
it's so beautiful, and I mean, the online space is so wonderful that we can just connect with people all over the world, but there's really that local in person. I've really been seeking that out more.
Yeah.
And it's so wonderful that there are some Jaguar Medicine women here. I'm very grateful for that.
It's great because the virtual world allows you to connect with people you might never have even known existed or encountered before, but at the same time, nothing replaces the interpersonal, face to face, in sitting next to someone vibe. So we try to maximize, and you're lucky that you can benefit from both, right now, the virtual and the local. So this is this is episode number 2 of Soul Speak. This is my new initiative to create conversations with like-minded women who are all on similar journeys of spiritual awakening, personal growth, healing. And I love to just talk to people. I love to hear what they have to say. I love to learn from them. And so I'm so happy to have you here today. This is wonderful. So I'd like to start by asking you to tell us about yourself, the things that you're doing now. And let's start with that.
Yeah, thank you so much. And you just have such a beautiful energy, and I just love what you've created. This, and Soul Speak is, oh my goodness, such a beautiful name. So I just wanted to say that. So yeah, I'm Chelsea Frederick. I currently have my main program, my main offering is called the Comeback Queen. So my main passion is to support mostly women, but really anyone that's going through a reinvention of themselves. You
Mm.
know, they've gone through a challenging moment. It's potentially knocked them over, and you know they're really going through the healing process of it. So I see myself both as a coach and healer. You know, so and I love working in parallel with both of those things, because the coaching part is really helping to support someone in the forward movement, and the healing is, you know, when the blocks come up, the things that it's like I really want to do this, but I'm stuck because, and it's identifying that and really soothing what's coming up with that. And I worked for 15 years as a naturopath. That was, you know,
Wow,
feels like a whole other life, but that's what I
that is
did
different.
before I really got into coaching. And I essentially went through my own, I literally had this realization within my relationship at the time, my career at the time, the office, that the contract situation I was working in. I literally had to burn everything to the ground because it
Wow.
wasn't working. And I wasn't happy. And I saw what I wanted, and I saw this big mismatch between where I was and what I wanted. And I just desired it so much that I really, you know, this is where I got into lifestyle design. That's what my coach training is in, is essentially manifesting and just realizing that we have the power and the ability to, if we can see it, if we can vision it, even if it might take some time. For me, it took a couple of years. It took me falling down a few more times, but I'm literally living like my career right now is what I just so craved and prayed for 10 years ago. And here it is.
That's amazing. You know, that's something that I came to learn only a couple of years ago, because I think today's world and how hectic it has been, at least up until COVID slowed us all down, but what we're you know conditioned to believe our life should be is you start your career, there you have your family, you set up your life structure, and that's it. And we're not really taught or told about creating dreams and how we can bring what we want in our life into our world.
Mhm.
About 2 years ago, I was in a terrible place in my life, and when I met my current partner, he would tell me, he's like, "I don't understand. You don't have any dreams for your life." And I was like, this is what I do with my life. I'm a librarian. I work here. I take care of my kids. You know, and he's like, "No, no, no. I don't understand. You need to have dreams. If you're not happy with where you are, set your sights." And I was like, "Well, I don't understand how I can change this." But it's just even understanding that if you let the how, put the how aside, and just focus on what really sets your heart alight, right? And just visualize it without being bogged down by the practicality of the physical world, right? Of, well, how can this possibly happen? And this isn't. Just start to imagine something that makes you happy. And that already opens so many doors to lead you towards it, right? Like you said, even if it takes 10 years,
Mhm.
right? Or a long time, it's something that um, starts to help you navigate through where you are, right? And the rest tends to kind of fall into place or come your way. Is that what you found in your process and in your coaching work?
Yeah, it's like, I mean, we're so used to quick fix solutions and answers and things just happening for us so instantaneously that I think it can be hard for us to, you know, see that gap between
Mm,
where we are and what we want. And it can feel daunting or defeating, but it's like just, you know, even holding the vision, even if you're just focusing on that, doing tiny little things incrementally. Like it was such a slow process for me. And, you know, some of the dismantling, there was discomfort even in that, but I knew that it was moving me forward. And I love the story that you shared, you know, because
mm,
that's another, it's like sometimes, and there was an element of this for me too, you know, like we can be just in a really deep discomfort or unhappiness, or we can kind of just be, oh, okay, like this is life. And, you know, I'm
mm.
maybe not thrilled with what I'm doing, but it's like, it's okay, you know,
Mhm.
like, and that sounds like where you were. And so it's also just really connecting to that like, you know, joy and
Yeah,
passion and excitement and, you know, just like this, like having our lives feel really like sexy, right? Where, you know, sometimes we
absolutely.
can get into this state where it just sort of feels like a rut. Like it's like,
Yeah.
and we can think that that's enough, or we can accept that for ourselves. So it's like so beautiful that, you know, that shifted for you, and that with what you're doing now too, it's very inspiring. And those are just kind of two parallel ways that we can go through this experience of desiring to shift our lives. You know, sometimes it can be a tragedy that we go through, or a really sudden and unexpected change, but sometimes it can literally just be like life is going along and it's just okay. But it could be that much better if we allow it.
Right. Well, that's the thing. Why do we accept just okay? Just
Yeah.
okay is pretty flat. And I'm not saying that we all have to have these massively adventurous lives where we're, climbing mountains, literally, you know, uh, but at least from my own experience in having been able to tap into things that really light my soul up and give me purpose, that's the adventure for me. Like every day I'm excited to do what I do, and it gives me that energy rush and that joy from talking to people, from helping them work through their, the challenges that they're facing, or the editing that I do on the other side of me. It's, you can find that joy. It doesn't have to be these enormous, you know, these enormous, what we would think of as like adventures that only the few can accomplish. That's not the only way to get to that feeling, or that feeling of meaning and purpose.
Yeah, well, and I just also kind of like to add to that, it's like, you know, not only just feeling joy, but really feeling alive, you
Yeah.
know. And I think sometimes, like you said, it doesn't have to be, you know, climbing Mount Everest or something like that, but, you know, there's, it's like just pushing a little bit outside of our comfort zone, and getting into that sweet spot where there's like, you know, we might be doing something that we're a little bit afraid to do, but we can't stop thinking of, you know, like it's just so like I really want, and there's often we have these things that we are afraid to even say out loud, you know, but they're
That's
just
right.
on our mind. When I left my, well, I guess it was my second separation, I really felt like I needed to do something that was outside my comfort zone, and I had quit dance when I was 6 years old, and I was feeling the call to start dancing again, and I was looking for something that just felt like it pushed me. And I ended up joining a dance troupe where we perform on stage. And it was like, it was scary, but
It's amazing.
that just like shook me awake, and in the best possible ways. And, you know, again, the beautiful community. I think anytime we can find ways that we can feel alive right next to people that are also doing the same thing, and they're right there with us, kind of like what, you know, we've went through with the book.
That's
You
right.
know, it's
Definitely.
that mix. It's like this perfect blend of just a little, like that little bit of fear, but a good
Yeah,
fear,
that's right.
with expansion of your soul, of the stuff that you feel like you're here for.
Absolutely. And you're right about that little bit of fear, because you know when we're facing challenges, as long as it's the kind of fear that we can muster the courage to face and overcome, that's where you find that expansion and that growth, right? That's what I found. And in your in your title of the comeback queen, and in mine of Phoenix Rising, it's all similar themes, right? Of being taken down or facing obstacles, and you find the strength within you and within your support groups, the support systems that you have around you to help you face return, right? Not letting that be the end of you. And that's where it takes the courage to face the fear of failure, or fear of rejection, or fear of, of just feeling of not having the strength you want to have. There's so much that can be overwhelming, but the exhilaration and the joy that you can find when you really face that fear and you can leap, you know, um, that's where I really feel that true growth comes from. And I don't necessarily, I don't wish bad on anybody, but I'm skeptical or doubtful of how much a person can truly grow without facing deep, intensive challenges. You know, I'm sure it's possible. I don't know. I haven't managed it,
It's really interesting what it does, you know, like having gone through my fair share of challenges. I feel like, you know, my upbringing was pretty, you know, like normal and easy, and, you know, there was the odd kind of like maybe lack of a real like emotional connection within my upbringing, but I
Mm,
had everything I needed, right? It wasn't until I went through some really challenging moments that I felt like I could really relate to, you know, more of the people that I met, like it
Yeah.
was just like really this ability to fully connect to what it's like to be in, in some of the darkest moments when we do fall, and what it's like to, be up all night wondering like, how am I going to survive this? And, what it brings up, and how we feel about ourselves. And even in facing some of the traumas that we've experienced in our lives. So that, yeah, like, it's like, it just adds to our the dimensions, and our the ways that we can relate to other people, and the ways that we can also just allow ourselves to be vulnerable to others
Oh,
and
oh,
share our stories.
absolutely. I think it helps us learn compassion in
Mhm.
not just for others, but for ourselves, right? It's in
Yeah.
being able to relate to maybe not identical experiences, but the impacts that they have on us. And I think if we, compassion for ourselves is super important because we often don't have much for ourselves, but also just in terms of understanding others and giving them the opportunities or the support that they might need that we can provide.
Yeah.
So if it's okay if I ask you about this, you had said that you've been through 3 divorces, is that right? So how has that played a part in your evolution and how that's brought you to where you are now?
Yeah, well, this is the perfect time that you brought it up, because I was going to share that, around the area of self compassion, because
Mm,
and like I have clients that share with me, they've been previously divorced, they're in a new marriage, and now this marriage is suffering. And it's like that
mm,
fear of, again, that stigma of another divorce. Like, and, and I know I'm not the only one that's been through multiple relationships. I want to share and just kind of clarify that it
yeah,
wasn't 3 actual marriages and 3 actual divorces. It was, some
right.
common law, but there were children,
Okay.
right? So it was like, but yes, I think that even just this last couple of months, that I really fully owned it, in terms of
Mhm.
sharing about it and
Right.
having compassion for myself. That, yeah, this is part of the journey that I've been on. And relationships. I mean, I feel like with the work that I do, I'm such a student of relationships, and
For sure.
learning about them. And through some of the most challenging relationship experiences that I've had, I've learned so much, because it's prompted me to read about love, read about,
Mm,
long lasting and full connected relationships, and also exploring more just the dynamics between men and women, and, the kind of like the heterosexual relationship, right? Of course, there's so many other ways for relationships to be, but I've become so interested in the dynamics between men and women, and in our roles, and everything. And it's like, it's become for me now, with the compassion, it's just more and more learning. And the more I
mm,
share, the more I learn, the more I excavate, these experiences, the more beauty that I can see from this. And of course, the beautiful children that I have, my 2 gorgeous daughters that I have from 2 of those relationships. I mean, I wouldn't change a thing,
right.
because I have them. And even just the healing that's come from that. From sometimes we make choices in our lives that we, look back and regret on, but because they also opened up this beautiful opportunity for us to heal through whatever state we were in when we made that choice. It's all becomes a gift. And so,
Yeah. It all becomes part of the journey that we're on, right? Each
yeah.
step takes you to the next level of healing or evolution for yourself. And I really resonate with what you said about, each relationship made you look into love and how men and women interact and the dynamics. With my current relationship, I had to really learn. I came in with so much baggage, as we all do. And my partner is very good at putting in my face in a way of like, this is what you're doing right now. You need to like be aware.
He
And it's
challenges you
it's
in a good
oh,
way.
he mirrors it back, and
Yeah.
it's been brutal on my ego, brutal on my ego.
Mm,
However, it put me in a position where I had to choose, either I'm going to acknowledge this and I'm going to examine myself and reflect on myself and take responsibility for my own behavior and reactions and part of the dynamic, or I'm going to deny it all and I'm going to continue to perpetuate these patterns, thinking that like everyone else is doing me wrong, you know? And so I've grown so much, but I've also recognized that really in relationship, you need the compassion and the understanding for the other person. But if you don't take it on yourself to understand your role in the interactions and dynamics, nothing is going to improve, right? It's almost like each one has to take the initiative to lead, right? And the other will follow or not. And that kind of decides how the dynamics are going to go, or if your relationship is going to strengthen or not.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a beautiful learning experience to be in a kind of relationship where you can do that, right? It takes a lot of courage to
Absolutely.
face yourself.
Oh, well, yeah, it's that level of self-responsibility and just kind of really owning it, and that's, I mean, again, this is kind of where I'm at right now, is really supporting women through these, especially like that's a big comeback to come back from a divorce or a separation.
It's huge, yeah.
And and there's this piece that you're talking about of really owning our role in whatever went wrong. And that was a big part of my journey, where in the beginning, they were the villains and I was the victim. And it was like really claiming where I had contributed to, and just and that, like you said, like dissolving the ego around that, it was really big. And that took quite a lot of time. I spent a lot of time in that, oh, it was all them, and I'm like this perfect person. And to look back now, and I look back and I laugh, because I'm like, oh my goodness, like I can't believe I did that, or I can't believe I said that. And it's with love, it's like with love, but also gratitude to be able to see it. I mean, it's just amazing sometimes when we're in certain states, before we get the full learning. Sometimes it's like we just can't see it until, like your partner, like someone can hold that mirror up for us and offer that. So it's beautiful.
And that's not to mistake gaslighting, right? Because
Of course.
I'm always very careful to say, like, look, it's not about saying that there's something you did to make somebody behave that way. Absolutely not. Because even when it comes to abusive relationships, that person is still responsible for how they react, almost regardless of what you're doing. Everybody's still responsible for their own behavior. However, it still means you have to be responsible for your own behavior, right? And everything you do. And even if that means your choices of staying, your choices of participating in escalating situations, things like that. It's just it's important it's hard to recognize it, but it's important to do that for your future, right? If you're going to move forward. Yeah.
Yeah. And you're right. I'm glad you brought that up, because there's definitely this whole piece of like, and there's so much about our inner strength at the time. There are moments when, if we're going through a lot of challenges, especially as new parents, and we're tired and we've got all of these pressures on us, we're not at our best, and it's like really, really hard. The choices that we make are often, I mean, a big part of this whole journey of these three was this state of feeling like, rather than choosing, rather than, when I got into the lifestyle design as a contrast, when I was deliberately trying to create something, the opposite energy that I was in before that was, it was like, what fire do I put out next? It was like this pile of choices I had made, not from a very conscious state. And then I had a lot of fixing, it felt like doing. So it was like this energy of just these quick fix ways of patching up problems and things that were coming up, rather than being in that state of choice. So really acknowledging that it's very common to get ourselves in that position, and again, having compassion first for ourselves, and being in potentially an abusive or challenging relationship just adds to that. We're in fear.
That's right.
Yeah, so there's just a lot of layers to this that we're
Absolutely. It also makes me think of intentionality, right? Because like you said, if you're busy kind of, and sometimes it's out of overwhelm and it's out of stress and fear that you're busy just jumping from, the chaos sometimes in your life becomes overwhelming, and you're jumping from fire, as you said, fire to fire, instead of choosing, right? There's an intentionality that's missing when you're in that state, right? As opposed to, my intentions are to have this kind of an outcome, or my intentions are to conduct myself in this way. And that's all part of the self responsibility, right? That's all part of that umbrella, um, of the healing, that, like, that's what healing brings to you, right? So
Mm-hmm.
so tell me how that has brought about this, because we're having this video, this interview today, like timing wise, because you have a new masterclass coming up. So tell me about that first program, the Rise from Heartbreak, that you're doing with Mary Huang.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and this ties together what we were saying earlier about, the
Mm,
in-person versus the online. I'm in a
yeah,
collaboration with this beautiful woman. Her name is Mary Wong. We first met online in a business mastermind that we were in back in 2018, I think it was, that it
mm,
started. And then we met in person in New York at
it's
a
wonderful.
training, and we just had this instant sisterhood, and we knew one day something was going to happen. And then Mary went home and ended up getting divorced, and we reconnected, and she just more recently has started to use what she's been through and all of the training that she's
Mm,
had as a coach, and she's created a program called Rise from Divorce. And we connected, and just we had such a beautiful alignment in, the comeback queen, Rise from Divorce. And I had interviewed her on my comeback queen, the Fierce Queens
right,
interview series, the same one that I had interviewed you on.
right.
And we were chatting ahead of that. And I just had this voice kind of from spirit that, it was like,
Mm,
ask her to collaborate. There's something here. And so I raised the idea, and it was just this instant spark. And within a month, we have put together this beautiful, it's a free webinar. It's called 5 Keys to Healing from Heartbreak, because we have both been through it. I've been through it multiple times.
right.
And through the work that we do and our desire to really deeply serve and support women that are healing and really trying to recreate their lives in the most aligned and healed way, we have this new offering. So it's
It's
happening
amazing.
next week on, I think it's Wednesday on March 30th, that we're offering this free masterclass.
That's amazing. And did you already have a couple this week?
Yeah,
So
we
how did
had.
they go?
They were amazing. I mean, again, just to like have this all happen so quickly, we just are so thrilled with the message and with
Mm,
the support. So we have the 5 keys to healing heartbreak, and within
okay.
each of those keys, we have, like, there's so much wisdom and
Yeah.
so many tools that you can take away, that you can start working on this healing. So it's really for someone, it's not even that the divorce or the separation or the breakup needs to be fresh. It's just, if you're in a struggle as a result of, relationships or loneliness, or, looking at what's happened and beating yourself up over it, it's like, this is really a beautiful healing journey, and it's a way to start to turn yourself around so that you're facing forward. You're in that state of creation that I talked about, that point of designing and choosing, and taking those slow and deliberate steps for whatever your next beautiful chapter is. So that's what we're here to support women
That's
in.
amazing, because often after a breakup, it can stay with you for so long and move even into any other relationship you find yourself in,
Mm-hmm.
and really linger in ways of either guilt or regret or trauma. So, I think people try to kind of sometimes give themselves, okay, I've got some time and now I'm feeling okay, and they don't address the deeper issues that impacted them from that breakup. They just kind of push it aside. So this is a really beautiful way to address that and help clear someone's heart a little bit, or clear their soul too, right, from the energies weighing them down. So you've decided to do this masterclass. Or you're continuing to collaborate together too, though. You have the other program, Radiant Queen, right? And that's a longer, more intensive program. So tell us about that one, because that looks really beautiful.
Thank you. Oh, I'm so excited about Radiant Queen. So yes, this is
Yeah.
we have it starting April 4th. So this is kind of like the jumping off point from the 5 keys to healing your heartbreak, to really take it into this healing state and supportive state. So it's a group program, and
Okay.
we're calling it a sacred circle. Again, just speaking of the power of sisterhood, when women come
Mm,
together that, share a common experience, and the magic and the creation that can come from that. So it's 3 months, 12 sessions, and we have a whole beautiful curriculum that we've created. We call them Radiant Teachings. And we're really just walking that path of support and really nurturing that true essence, with that healed feminine, and how in her radiance, how limitless is the word I'm trying to come up with right now. How limitless, what she can create is, right? Like it's just there. Anything that she desires is available to her from that beautiful state of just love and healing and resolving what she's been through and having, that be this is a bit of a spoiler. It's one of the keys is that we turn our challenges into gold. We turn what we've been through into the greatest gifts because of the strength that we receive, the wisdom, again, the ability to really connect and relate and even potentially support others through what we've been through, which is what we're doing now.
That's beautiful. I mean, I understand that experience too, because I feel that that's been a lot of my path, and that I would never say I regret anything that I went through or any of the choices I made, because it created the person that I am now. It all contributed to me being me, and it's given me the tools and the resources to be able to hopefully, help others with, and the insights that I can support others with. So I think that everything we go through is really it's really everything is another brick in our wall, right? It's all part of who we become. And I wanted to say that while you were talking about the feminine, so one is that, we really are creators when we're in our feminine. That's what you're really serving to support and help draw out from the women in your group of what a healed feminine is to be a creator, right? The concepts between divine feminine and divine masculine, from what I've learned and understood, is that men and masculinity they're the doers, right? And women are the beers. We hold the space for creation. We hold the space for energy and for love to be able to be shared, right? And so that's how we create not equal balance, but that's not the word I meant to use, but I mean a complementary balance, really, right? Because exactly, each has their beautiful strengths and their value and their worth, and together it just serves to create a beautiful whole, right? We support each other. And I think it's so incredible that I'm in those circles too, right? It's a very, very intensively female, and it doesn't mean that men are not welcome or aren't capable of connecting with us in these spaces. But there is a specific, there is a certain femininity and focus on feminine energy and power in these endeavors, in these programs, and in these groups, and even in our, in our the way we're connecting in our networks, that's really serving to bring out, I think, a femininity that was really lost for a long time, right? That femininity was given certain perceptions or labels that was hard for women to stand in proudly and to hold the power of in a very dignified way. And so all of this that's going on, that I'm witnessing and now being a part of, and I just see it continuing to grow and strengthen, is really such a beautiful thing, because it's allowing women to step in back into the world's the tapestry of the world in a very empowered, but not to the it doesn't need to be to the detriment of men. It's to hold our space and our energy in and of itself, right? So that we can welcome in the divine masculine as a partner and be complementary and support each other, but still stand in our own light, as we are. So it's really beautiful that you've created a beautiful group to do this and to support women to step into that.
Thank you. We're very, very thrilled. And the conversation that you are raising right now about this beautiful com- complementariality. What's
Hmm.
the word? You know what I'm saying? The way
Complimentary, yeah.
complement. Yeah. Anyways, the because of the difference and the qualities between the masculine and the feminine and how they complement one another. I mean, there's just so much beauty there, and that's a
Mm.
whole. I would love to have that conversation with you one day because it's
Oh, for
so
sure. Absolutely.
magical, especially when it's there's this allowance of both being who we're
Mm.
meant to be, right? There's been so many distortions in that, and just growing up as a little girl, there's a lot of almost like confusion about how to really fully be in our feminine. And this is something that I've been working through over the last couple of years, and it's just
Yeah.
like, yeah. And we share about them in these teachings, and in this desire to, like, even just the word power,
Mm.
we chose the word radiance because that is from what I've learned, is the true feminine power.
I 100% agree with you because I'm never happy using the word power because of the connotation. It has a connotation that doesn't sit well with me. Almost
Yeah.
too, it's too brutal and almost right because of the other implications. But radiance is that's how it feels. It's supposed to be, right? We emanate it out, right,
Yeah.
to others, and we embody it,
Hmm.
and that's
There's there's like an effortlessness to it,
yeah,
and power, just the word, it sounds like it just like it's something you have to muster up, and right in that we've lost our radiance. We don't have to muster up
absolutely.
radiance. We get to just tune into it and let it flow through our bodies, through our pleasure, and through our, like you said,
Absolutely.
our being. And so it's just so beautiful, and that's like quite core to what we're teaching
That's
within these
amazing.
trainings. That's part of the healing, is to be able to reconnect to that. And it's, oh, such a bliss to be able to do that work. So yeah, maybe we can riff on that another day because I feel
I
like we
would
could just
love to.
talk for hours
Absolutely.
on it. Mm-hmm.
Let's please do that. We'll communicate outside of this interview, and we'll set up another conversation because that's really it's these kinds of conversations that help open that up for you and I and for anyone who watches it, right? And that's part of this evolution that's happening. I think we're all learning about um, what feminine really is. And like you said, power has something you have to muster, but it also feels so heavy handed. It feels like it's something that's imposed on others. And that's
Mm-hmm.
not what feminine is. It took me, it's funny. So like the example that I experienced in terms of understanding my value as a woman, right, was and mother and partner 2 years ago. And I still talk about it because it's so traumatic when I broke my foot and I had to have foot surgery, and it was really immobilized me intense, like for several months. I had a
Yeah.
special boot I had to wear that I was made me limp for 3 months. And it was very challenging because up until then I had been the everything. I was single mom to two kids. um, I was like I had a job that I worked very lots of hours, sometimes 6 days a week. It was very, very high demand, high stress job. And I was volunteering at the kids school, and kind of like um, and I was everything. I felt like I was trying to fill in all of those slots, right? Executive job, mother, member of the community. And all of a sudden I couldn't do any of it, right? It was also COVID. Like COVID had just shut us all down. So I wasn't working, I was at home. And not only I couldn't manage the house. Like I couldn't spend hours cooking. I wasn't busy cleaning the house. I wasn't busy taking the kids places. So it made me really have to face and question, like, so like what good am I? Like why I remember I even had that conversation with my boyfriend where I was like, I don't understand. So why do you like me or love me? Like, what? I can't do any of these things anymore, right? I can't work and I can't cook for you, and I'm not like taking care of the household, and you're helping me more with my kids than I'm doing. So where are you seeing any value in me? And I had to really sit with that a lot and understand that it's not from what I do. it's who I am. It's the energy that I embody in the house. And so when I can embody loving and compassionate and creative energy, that's it, right? Like that's kind of everything I need to do, right? Effortlessly, like you say, because that's where the value lies, you know?
Absolutely. Yeah, it's setting the tone, that it's like this
That's right.
very unseen, subtle effect of the energetics in the
Yeah.
household. It's
Yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah, it was nice. And so the return was I was away not long ago and my boyfriend stayed to take care of the kids. He took off the week of work and it was really lovely and the kids were great. And it was my daughter who, when I came back, said, Mommy, like we missed you so much. And I was like, yeah, okay, but what did you miss? He's a great cook. He took you to school. And she was like, I don't know, Mommy, there's just an energy when you were home that it wasn't the same.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, that's a nice confirmation. Thank you so much. And it's something that it's hard for us to learn that, right? And so many women takes them time to even come to understand that. So, but that's really the core of it. That's really the core of us.
I
And
just so many chills as you're sharing this story. And I think one of the things again is like we as sisters, we can reflect that back to one another
that's right.
and show each other, because just like, even just being with you for this time in this conversation, we're not in the same physical space, but your energy is just like there's this beautiful softness. You're absolutely glowing. And it's like, just to recognize that and to see it in one another and to state that it's there, because we don't for some reason, well, and often as soon as we can't see it, that's when our energy is already depleted
That's
anyway,
right.
which can so happen to us. But it can come back quite quickly
That's right.
when we when we allow it to, when we tune into that. And so it just ends up being this, like you said, your children notice the absence of it when it's gone. It's like, and it's
Yeah.
priceless.
That's it. And I'll, return the same compliment to you. Really are glowing. And the energy when we talk, I remember it from our first conversation and I'm most definitely feeling it now. And I really want to, I have a hard time when it comes to finding the right words, which is why the challenge for me of creating this podcast and show has been a good personal challenge for me. And I find you have a wonderful way of bringing out the right words and a beautiful eloquence to express what I try so hard to express, but you bring it out and it's so right on and it's so elucidate it illuminates everything. So it's a pleasure to have you reflect that back at me. I'm like, yes, that's how I wanted to say it. Why didn't I find those words? But you're very, very eloquent. So
Thank
that's
you.
beautiful. So I can't believe that we're moving close to almost an hour. So I'm going to just ask you to tell us all about the programs again and how everyone can reach you. And I didn't prepare you because what I had decided I would do with these episodes is ask for a reference for a book that has impacted you, because I've also got one foot in the book world. So if it's too much off the top of your head, then that's okay. But if you do have something that you'd love for our watchers to share, to look up, then please go ahead.
Absolutely. Yes. And thank you. Which do you want me to start with, the book first or
Yeah, that's
okay.
it. Book first, and
Yeah.
then how do we find
Yeah.
you?
So I kind of talked about this or referenced it earlier on in our conversation when I was really
Mm,
studying relationships. Like, this was something that I just so desired to master because I was struggling in it. And there's a beautiful book and it's called The Mastery of Love.
oh,
And it's by Don Miguel Ruiz, who
oh yeah.
is known for, the Four Agreements. And
Hmm.
he's gone on to, and he's got a new book out called Eros that I really want. I think it just sounds really amazing because, again, I just am obsessed with love and relationships. But the Mastery of Love, it was almost like, it literally is almost like a manual, like as close as you can get to a manual for how to be in a relationship, how to
Mm,
experience love, how to be responsible for your half, how to know, like, because there's a chapter in the book that really helped me decide that I needed to end the relationship that I was in. It's
mm,
like, this is how you really know. So it was like, there's a lot within that book that just really supported me. Makes me want to read it again because it's been years since I really read it, but it's quite beautiful. So that would be the one. Especially, I mean, there's so many books. I love books, and I could list depending on whatever topic we're talking about. But this is the one that fits this topic the most, and that author and his teachings, and just the timelessness of the message is so beautiful.
That's amazing. What I plan to do with all the recommendations is I'm an affiliate on a site called bookshop.org, where they support local bookstores across the US. Unfortunately, it's not in Canada right now, but for any of our US audience, and you can create your own book lists. So what I've decided to do is to create a book list of all of my guests on Soul Speak. So I'll be adding that one to it and probably picking it up for myself too.
Wonderful. Thank you. That's exciting. I'm looking forward to seeing that list.
Yeah. Yes, I'll be sharing it once I accumulate enough guests with recommendations. Then definitely I'll be sharing that. So tell us where to find you and about your programs and when they're starting and how to get in touch.
Absolutely. So the best way to find me, either on Facebook here, if this is where the viewers are watching it, or if not, at Chelsea.Frederick. That's my Instagram account. So it's CHELSEA.FREDERICK. I don't know if the little name tags are always going to be there on this, but you can also see it on the screen as well. So on Instagram, I have the Linktree account. And so that will give you access to my website, to all of my other social media, my YouTube, my Facebook. And then it also has the link to sign up and register for the 5 Keys to Healing from Heartbreak, as well as to join the Comeback Queen, which is, one of the best places if someone is interested in my work and they want to just kind of get a flavor for it without, really having to commit to anything. The Comeback Queen is a really beautiful place. I have quite a few free master classes just sort of sitting there loaded up in the guide section, so you can explore those. And again, the webinar, the masterclass that we have coming up on March 30th is also a beautiful way to experience both my work and the work of my colleague Mary's. So we teach on the 5 Keys to Healing from Heartbreak there.
I'm sure the programs are going to be so impactful for everyone who's participating. So that's wonderful. It's such a pleasure to connect with you. I know we'll be doing something again. As I said at the beginning, this is live, but I will be posting this on my Everyday Woman TV channel, as well as my podcast episode. So I'll be sharing out the links and tagging you when I post the recordings. And that's it. It's been such a pleasure to talk to you, and really your energy is so incredible. And I wish you all the best and so much luck and so much success in the programs. I know that you're making a difference in the world.
Oh, thank you,
For a lot of people.
Yeah. Thank you. What a beautiful legacy with these conversations that you're having. And I just am so excited to see this and where it all goes for you. It's just so wonderful.
Exciting. Yeah.
So grateful to have met you.
Me too. I'm so grateful. Thank you so much. All right, everybody, we're going to sign off, I think, and wish everybody a wonderful day. And again, if anyone wants to reach out to Chelsea, she's tagged on here. She's given her contact info, or you can reach out to me and I can pass you on. I can pass you on to Chelsea if you like. And that's it. Thank you so much. Have a great day.
Thank you. Bye.